And here we are. Hi, everyone. This is Emil Guillermo. I believe we're live. Uh, I just thought we should have a nooner today. Uh, let's see if we show up live on Emil Guillermo Media. Yeah, we're live. Okay, we're live. So we're live, and whether you're here or not, welcome. I just want to make sure everything is set up. You know, the funny thing about when you go live, I mean, this is the unusual thing about going live. It gets kind of addictive. You say, well, this is the way that you got to be these days. You have to engage the audience, even when the audience isn't there. And as you see, my virtual background isn't here. And so you see, when I say that I'm really in a closet, I am in a closet. This is where I put my gong. He hung up his gong at the end of the day. And it's just the threat of banging the gong that you're supposed to hear. So you're not supposed to really hear the gong. Actually, me talking is supposed to be gong like. Anyway, Emil Guillermo here, the writer, the journalist, the erstwhile solo performer. I'm wearing red today for a special reason. Also, we're streaming live on Emil Guillermo Media on Facebook. I didn't have the FANHS Museum background, but this is streaming on the FANHS Museum site. I thought I'd come to you today and just to talk about the thing that came out of the FANHS Museum pop-up. I was talking to Dan Gonzalez, and if you go to the various video pages where we post the video, that pop up from Saturday at 2 hours and 11 minutes in. I know that sounds obscene, but now we talked a long time, at almost 3 hours, because Dan, he had a lot to say on the day before his birthday. You should wish him happy belated birthday, Dan Gonzalez, along with Alex Fabros. They're the scholars. They're the pioneers in Filipino American history, and you may have seen them both in the documentary on Asian Americans. Uh, I talked to Dan about our origin story, 1587, October 18th through 20th, the Lazones Filipinos on the galleon of Pedro de Unamuno, sailing for Spain. How they got off the boat, they arrived on the 18th in Morro Bay. That's an important story. That's the reason why October is Filipino American National History Month, or actually just Filipino American History Month. That was started by FANHS, the Filipino American National Historical Society, back in the 90s, and became a law in 2009, public law. Congress, Senate, and the House passed it, and we celebrated. And to my astonishment, I'm just amazed at how people stop me now and they say, hey, happy Filipino American History Month. That is a good thing. That is a good thing. But when I was talking to Dan during our pop up, he did mention that, Emil, the story isn't perfect. And it's kind of surprised me because it's coming from Dan Gonzalez. And I knew the story wasn't perfect. I mean, I've written about it also, but I think we should just come clean and understand the imperfections in the story. If you read my column in the inquirer.net, I spell it out, you'll get it. And it's just it's just an imperfect story. There are some details left out of Pedro de Unamuno's logs that don't make up for the fact that if it was Morro Bay, October 18th, 1587, that the ships of Pedro de Unamuno found or stepped foot on, where was the rock? Do they talk about the rock? By the rock, I mean the big white rock that you can't miss in Morro Bay, California. That reminds one of Gibraltar. Where is it? Where's the mention? Maybe they didn't think. Maybe they had the white rock filter in the log or something. Maybe they didn't think that it was important. Hard to believe, but Then a couple of years ago, I talked to Alex Fabros about this. And Alex is not just the historian, Filipino American historian. Once again, along with Dan, they were interviewed for the that Asian American PBS series. I asked Alex about it. He's also a an accomplished sailor, and he had a question about the sextant. Now that this information is out there, but I thought this year we should put it all together because maybe it will inspire a new generation of historians to look in and to look critically at the facts and to say, well, what could have happened or what did happen? Maybe it will inspire a new generation of historians or the current crop of people who are looking into this to say, yeah, there's something wrong with that story. It's not perfect, but let's go with it until new evidence appears. That's sort of my view. I I recognize difficulty. I'm not about to say, well, the scholarship of Eloisa Gomez Bora, which was published in the UCLA's Amerasia Journal in 1996. I'm not saying that all of that is debunked. I'm saying it's incomplete and more scholarship is necessary. But what we do have is we do have the presence of Filipinos on October 18th, 1587 in the central coast of California, whether that's Morro Bay or somewhere north, as described by Alex Fabros. We still have that. And we still know that on this day, on October 20th, this is the big day, October 20th, the third day of the expedition, of the landing, that Filipino Indios Luzones on that boat stepped foot on America and shed blood. They died, or one unidentified Filipino died on what is now the continental U.S., on the soil of America. First time, October 20th, 1587. That is the flip side of being the first to land on October 15th, 1587. Now, bloodshed. It wasn't exactly a war. It was a skirmish between the natives at the landing party of Unamuno, which included the Filipinos, the Indios Luzones. They encountered the natives who were here. And there were California natives. We know that the Chumash were down there. And there was a little scuffle. One soldier was killed. One Filipino crew member was killed. Pedro de Unamuno's logs. Documented. We have a documented Filipino death according to Pedro de Unamuno's logs. That's something. That's history. That's evidence. Now, as far as exactly where they were, it's not conclusive according to, my conversations with Dan Gonzalez, professor of history, San Francisco State, Alex Fabros, another, Filipino American historian. So it's open to a new generation of scholars and present day inquirers to find out what did happen conclusively. It's hard. I mean, we're not trying to be revisionist because, well, I guess in a sense, history is kept alive by our ignorance, and history is renewed by further discoveries, new findings. And it would be interesting if someone found something, another boat, or maybe something more specific about where the Filipinos landed. But we do know they landed. We do know it was California. And we do know that on the third day, after the 18th, the 19th, and the 20th, blood was shed. Hence, I'm wearing red today for the Filipino, the Indios Luzones, the Indios from Luzon, the northern part of the I'm wearing red in his honor. So, a little tidbit about history. If you're watching this on the Filipino American National Historical Society Museum channel on Facebook, well, I do this. We do these pop-ups. We pop up, and we pop up when we can. Generally around noontime on Saturdays and Sundays when the museum is open. But I thought today, like I said, going live on Facebook it's kind of addictive. I mean, especially when you're in your closet all the time, like me. I'm in my closet, and on a momentous day like October 20th on 1587, this is when a Filipino died on what is now California soil. It's recorded. Don't know of any others. First one, Pedro de Unamuno's log. That's what we got. So read the article in the inquirer.net. It really came out of the discussion I had with Dan Gonzalez on our FANHS Museum pop-up recording, or we went live on Saturday, and it's recorded. You can go to the FANHS Museum page and catch that. In the meantime, you can also see it on my page on Emil Guillermo Media. And I don't have the FANHS Museum backdrop today because, Zoom does all these updates. And I went to look for it. It wasn't there. So anyway, so it's good to see. I think it's good to have a nooner every now and then, huh? So we will pop up. Hopefully we will see this. You can respond to me at Filipino American National Museum at gmail.com. That's Filipino American National Museum at gmail.com. Just respond to me, and if you have any questions, or respond to the chat box. Take a look at that inquirer.net, the Filipino American news source. It's based in Manila, but I write a column for the North American Bureau, and check it out. Check it out and put in your comments. Share this video. Share the article. Let people know about the pop-ups. Let people know about the FANHS Museum page on Facebook, and also our FANHS Museum YouTube channel, where you can see all these other videos as well. But you can also catch it all on the FANHS Museum live page. All the videos we've done in the last, I guess it's been about 6 to 8 weeks that we started doing these, because we miss you, and we want to open up again, but we really feel we can open up again only when it's safe for everyone, for you and for us. Many of us, we're all volunteers. Many of us are at that at-risk group. And the at-risk group isn't the group of people who have outrageous opinions and are thus at risk of something. No, we are, older, and we need to take these precautions. But I just want you to know that we want to open up. Excuse me. We want to open up, and but we will do so when it's safe for all of us. So in the meantime, this really is the best way to communicate. And communicate by writing a little thing back on the chat. I can't answer it in real time because I have such an unstable connection that I don't want to lose this main connection. But know that we're trying to communicate. Thank you for supporting the museum. Check out the picture of my mother and father's wedding photo. They all got together and they had they had some family, cousins and people from the Philippines who had come here to start families when they got married in the 50s. And you can see that was the Filipino American community in the 50s. And you think, my father came in the 20s after all those years of not being able to start a family, to be able to start a family. That's what that picture represents. a step forward in not just my Filipino American family, but it's something that we saw in many a time with other Filipinos who came first as nationals, right? Come to America. Some were able to start families immediately, especially if they went straight to the Central Valley. My father stayed in San Francisco, but these are the common threads of Filipino American life. So check out that photo on the FANHS Museum page and definitely consider making a donation. Uh, we do this we're in a volunteer capacity. The people who run the museum, and all the money that you give goes to making sure that our 1,600 square foot gallery stays open. It only accommodates about 50 people. So when we open again, we probably could only fit about maybe 20, 25 in there safely. But we have a space. It's in Stockton, California. And we do these things live. I mean, mostly we pay for technology. We pay for the ability to reach you because we really believe that the museum is where you are. You're Filipino American history. You are, a lot of people like to say, oh, living history. Yeah, yeah. We're all living history. We're living it now, life in the pandemic, but we're living. We're the living history, right? We're the heartbeat of history. And the way we can communicate now is live this way. And then if you miss the live, the recording. But I'll try to, like when things happen, I'll try to do this at noon because it's kind of fun to be live. It's like, okay, it's sort of like a one-way telephone call. And I'd like to hear from you. So if we can schedule these things in advance, maybe you'll show up and then maybe we could do an ask the museum. In fact, we're going to do an this Saturday. We'll do an ask the museum. Okay. We'll do an ask the museum Filipino American History Month. And no doubt we'll probably talk about this article. Maybe some of you will have questions. Maybe you'll put the questions in the box. But this is an ongoing experiment because we just believe in our Filipino American history and we want to engage during this Filipino American History Month. So see my conclusion. Some people might say, oh, are you taking swipes at Filipino American history here, Emil? No, Filipino American history is important. And if you listen to my conversation with Dan, you'll know that, he's more, if you put out an imperfect story, people are going to doubt your credibility. Well, I just think that our credibility, where's the credibility of Columbus? Columbus, and I've talked about this the last few weeks. Columbus, who set sail from Spain to try to find not the New World, he was trying to find Asia. But here he was in Spain, and Spain had the Atlantic. He knew there was the Atlantic, and he thought at the other end of the Atlantic was China. Yeah. You think he got that wrong? He actually thought when he landed in the Bahamas that he was in China, or Japan rather. And that when he went further south to Cuba from the Bahamas, he thought he was in China. Got it wrong. But, only now, after 1492, only now, or, recently, within the last 20 years or so, have people begun to poke holes at Columbus, maybe more for the imperialistic attitude or the colonialism, that he stood for. But he started looking at the story. You see, he wasn't out there looking for the new world. He stumbled onto the new world. So we have all these different stories. And so it's natural for us to have a story like Pedro de Unamuno and then not exactly get it perfectly, But to try to make it more right as more historians dig in, do the analysis, make the critique, come up with something more right than what we've got now. What we got now is still a good basis for Filipino American History Month. But as Alex Fabros mentioned, as Dan Gonzalez mentioned, was it exactly Morro Bay? Maybe it was Half Moon Bay. Maybe it was somewhere further up the coast. But there was an absence of that rock in the logs. So, look, what keeps history alive is our ignorance. Because ignorance begets curiosity, begets discovery. And if we do that, we're in service to the truth. I'm Emil Guillermo. Thank you for joining me on this special nooner live recording. I will make sure that it's also available live on the FANHS Museum Facebook page and also on my page at Emil Guillermo Media. Once again, you can email me at Filipino American National Museum. Spell it out. The board wanted me to spell it out. The Filipino American National Museum at gmail.com. And that'll get to me. Thanks again. Enjoy the 20th this day. Well, not enjoy, but just remember, this is a special day of all the days in Filipino American History Month. The 18th is when the boat landed and Filipinos stepped foot into the New World. On the 20th, the day the first Filipino died. Shed blood, hints, just like the priest. The priest wears red, right? During those special days. I forget now. I haven't been to church and during the pandemic. I'm a lost flock member. But yeah, this is the day they shed blood. A Filipino in America shed blood. Thanks again. I'm Emil Guillermo. If you missed any or all of this, catch the replay on this same page. Till next time. And there will be a next time. Take care.